Hey guys, today we are going to be looking over if, elif, and else statements in Python. Now before we start, I just need to say a few things like what we're going to be doing in the future. So, like in the future of this channel for Python at least, what I'm planning to do is more short videos such as this one. This one's probably going to be a little longer because of what I'm doing right now, but so there's going to be more short videos discussing individual topics like if, elif, and else statements, and I'm going to be explaining thoroughly what I'm doing. And there's going to be smaller applying videos like the secret number game we built in the previous episode, and I'm going to be explaining what I do in that. And there's going to be like bigger applying videos which I'm not going to explain anything, I'm just going to be coding, and it's your job to understand what I'm doing. And the reason for that is so that you can recall what I've already taught you and try to understand what is happening, and that'll probably help you learn better, and that's why I'm trying to do it this way. So if you don't understand what's happening in the bigger applying videos, you can feel free to go into the comment section and ask me or other people what's happening. Alright, now let's get to if, elif, and else statements. So if, elif, and else statements, they are, so pretty much this is what gives the code different paths to take. So it's kind of like a train. So here's one path. Alright, now this is, imagine this as train tracks. The train tracks can go different ways at some point, so there'll be like two deviating railroads from this one, and the train can choose which track to take. So that's kind of like how this is. So if, elif, and else, which it would pretty much be if this happens, follow this line of these lines of code. If this happens, then follow these lines of code. And if those two don't work, or if however many of those don't work, go ahead to the else statement and do that. So how this is going to be formatted is if, and then you put the condition here and a colon, and you see how it automatically indents over here. Now that's because Python is a white space language, which means everything that happens indented under the if statement will be part of the if statement. So everything I put in an indent under the if statement, once the code takes the if path, it'll do those lines of code. So I could do print and then hello world, and pretty much if it takes this this path over here, then it'll print this along with everything else that is indented under. So I could do x equals 3 or y equals 7, and everything under that will be part of this if statement right here. Now condition, you're not supposed to put condition there, it's supposed to do this if statement if what happens in this condition is true. So you change that with whatever you want, like if x equals hello, and then of course you'd have to define what x is before, so x equals hello, and now x is defined over here. So the if statement will, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the code will take this path over here. Now I can add on to this by saying elif with a lowercase, and then I could put another condition, colon, and then when I press enter, it automatically indents. And then whatever I want here, I'm just gonna spam because why not? And then I can do more. I can do as much as I want in this, and it'll still be part of this elif statement as long as it's indented. And as soon as I have no longer have the indent, it will no longer be part of that elif statement. So now else statements. So else statement, this is what happens if none of these other conditions are met. So if x is like 4, this will not be true. Oh yeah, my bad. So I forgot. There's actually an error in this. So over here I used one equal sign, which means assigning 2. And because of that, over here I'm comparing 2 things. I'm comparing x to 3, which means I need 2 equal signs, which should get rid of that error, right? So now this else statement, as I was saying before, if these 2 conditions over here are not met, then the code will take this else statement. So for the else statement, you do not need a condition. You just do else colon and enter, and then everything in here will be categorized in this else statement. So these 2 don't work, or I mean if these two conditions are not correct, then it will just take this else statement. Now say I wanted 4 different paths. Now this over here is 3 different paths. Say I wanted 4. Only the first path will require an if statement. Everything after that will be elif. So I could do 4 if I want. Remember, no indent unless, or it'll be categorized under the elif. So this condition, and then everything in here will be in this elif statement for this condition. Now let's apply this. We are going to the previous secret number game had all of this, and I'm not sure if you guys understood that or not, and that's why I'm making this video. The next video will probably discuss while loops and for loops, which are also a big part of coding in any language. So we're going to do number equals 3. So now I'm going to say if number equals, remember 2 equals because of comparing, 4, then print x is, and I'm going to use the comma here. Comma is another thing you can use for putting 2 things together. So if I used a plus, that's concatenating, but I could also use a comma, which is what I'm going to use. Since there is a little twist, I'll show that in the other elif statement. So if number is equal to 4, print x is, and then number. Now next, elif number equals 3. So that is what we have defined number as, 3. Then print x is, and over here I'm going to show concatenating with the plus sign. So the thing about the plus sign is that we need to have a space here. If we don't, then it will just show up as is, and whatever whatever number is, my bad, number, I'm going to make a few tweaks right here. So your number is, and then number, and then your number is, and using the plus sign, which means concatenating. Now if we just did number, it will show up as an error because 3 is an integer, and you cannot concatenate a string with an integer. So what you have to do is you have to put it in the string method, which is just str, and then parentheses around the variable you want to switch. So now it will concatenate and print as your number is space, and then whatever number is defined as. Now we're going to have an else statement. I'm going to do if else, if these 2 conditions are not met, then do this. So this else statement will be print none of your, or wait, yeah, no, I don't know what to put in here. We're just going to spam because I don't know what to put here. Alright, so now when I run this, it will print as your number is 3 over here, because we've defined the variable number as 3, and this condition is true because number is in fact equivalent to 3. Two equal signs means comparing, and we're comparing the number variable to 3. So it prints your number is and then whatever saved as that. And we are also going to change this to 4 now, so it will take this path over here, and just so that we know it worked, we're going to put a 1 here. Alright, so that way we'll know that it worked. We'll know that it took this path instead of this path. Alright, now we see this printed to the terminal, and that is because the code took this path over here and printed out what was under this if statement, because this condition is true. So now, say we didn't have this string around the... Actually, before we do that, I'm going to show you what happens if we did 5. Alright, if number was 5, none of these conditions would be met, which means it would go on to the else statement. So as we see, it prints out whatever we spammed on the keyboard. Now, say we did not have the string parenthesis around the number variable in the concatenation with the plus sign. So over here we have the comma, and we saw that there is no str and then a parenthesis around the number variable over here, and that is because the comma takes care of that. That's just how it works. Now with the plus sign, it's a little bit different, and forgot we have to change this variable. Over here we see that there is an error because a string cannot be concatenated with an integer value, so we have to have the string method, we have to have number in the string method. So yep, now imagine we have a user who wants to put in whatever they want. Instead of having this 3 here, we could put in input, the input method over here, and what would happen is it would ask for user input, and we could actually put whatever we want here. So type your number. Alright, so pretty much what would happen is type your number would be printed to the terminal, and it would ask the user to put in whatever input they want, and it would be stored to this number variable. Now, the reason that this code will not work is because, or why it would immediately go to the else statement, is because this input over here, this automatically saves whatever you type as a string, and we don't want that because you cannot compare a string to an integer, because those are two different data types. Now there is one thing you could do, which is number is, and then to change this variable over here into a integer, you would have to do int number, and just keep it like just do that. And what that would do would what am I saying? What that would do would be is what that would do is it would change this number variable into an integer value. But another way we could do that without having another line of code is we could just put the integer method around this in here. So yeah, that should do it. And when we run this, we can type 3 over here, and it will print your number is 3, just as we said. And if we want to run it again, we could type 5, which means it would do the spam, and for 4, it would print your number is 4. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching.